In the community of Ntwetwe, Mukono District, there lived a man by the name of Ddungu. He was a very wealthy and influential man in the entire community. His dress code was always white, and behind his house there was a pond where he dumped the bodies of the young girls he sacrificed. This practice kept him wealthier than anyone else in the community. Ddungu sacrificed girls who were attracted to him because of his looks, attire and wealth. He lured these girls with money and sacrificed them, mostly those who were virgins, by strangling them to death while making love. He would then throw their bodies into the pond behind his house. It was very difficult for the authorities to suspect him because of his perceived innocence and influence in society. He always vowed to help the police capture the culprit, which diverted suspicion away from him in the community. Ddungu would give money to these young girls and made sure he performed a sacrifice each month to accumulate his wealth. Since these girls were always attracted to him and wished to marry him, they did not realize how dangerous he was. He would invite each girl to his house, avoiding any phone communication. He would also instruct them not to tell anyone and to come alone when no one was watching. Once they arrived, he would lure them into sexual intercourse, and those found to be virgins were strangled to death. He would then move the body outside his house late at night when everyone was asleep and dump it in the pond behind his house. One day, the people in the community decided to investigate the killings of the young girls. Each parent was urged to safeguard their daughters and limit their movements, especially at night. 2 months passed without any killings of young girls. During this time, Ddungu's wealth began to decline because his sacrifices were supposed to be made monthly. His behavior started to change, which caused people in the community to suspect him. They whispered among themselves, pointing fingers at him and questioning whether he was behind the recent deaths of the young girls. As a result, his influence in society began to deteriorate. The 3rd month came without any sacrifice, and Ddungu developed a terrible headache, making it nearly impossible for him to sleep. This was caused by the demons of the girls he had killed. The community grew more curious about his recent behavior, although they still had no proof that he was responsible for the deaths. Meanwhile, Ddungu began hearing an inner voice urging him to confess his actions to ease the pain in his head. He eventually confessed his brutal acts to the community, and as soon as he finished, he fell unconscious and breathed his last breath. The police took his body because the community refused to bury him there. The lesson to be learned from this story is that you must always be careful of the people you meet. Not all that glitters is gold.